Howdy, friends. Matt Brewer, the Logic Chaser, here again. And I have what I believe to be a really interesting show. I'm going to bring out some things that maybe you've thought about, maybe you haven't. But let's get started. This is vlog number 5. How far is too far to walk? One of the questions I had early on when I saw the Moby Dickens interview or the release of the Too Far to Walk book was, why was this book necessary, given the fact that from the beginning we were told all you needed was the Thrill of the Chase book, the poem, and a good map to be able to find the treasure? Well, and here's a quote from Forrest Fenn himself. He says, "After my Thrill of the Chase book was published, my Too Far to Walk book begged to be written." Those are strong words. It was easy because I just told some stories and illustrated them with photos from my scrapbook. So if all we need is the Thrill of the Chase, the poem, and a good map, why was Too Far to Walk begged to be written when most of those stories were already in the scrapbook? He even admits it right there. I started thinking about that. And I came to this. And it's a what if. So what if Forrest came to the conclusion after 6 years, and this was somewhere around November of 2016 when he did the Moby Dickens release of Too Far to Walk. Most of the searchers were only getting the first 2 clues right because we weren't understanding the clue or being able to decipher the clue in the phrase too far to walk. We were coming up with things like 24.2 miles or 242 miles or versions of that, or 4.24 and things of that nature. I went down a couple of those rabbit holes myself. So how could he give us a nudge if he was seeing we were going in the wrong direction? How could he give us a nudge to put us back on track without totally giving away the treasure? And here's a couple of statements that seem to confirm what I'm suggesting here. I know a few searchers who have been reasonably close to the treasure pupa, but there's no indication that they knew it. No one has given me the correct solve past the first 2 clues. That was of 2013. Searchers continue to figure out the first 2 clues, and others arrive there and don't understand the significance of where they are. They're not recognizing that they're at clue number 3. So, questions. How can we put an X in the canyon down without there being a clue within the phrase? Let me say right away that unless you want to donate your car or truck to the local Indian tribe, do not go to the town of Tuwak and start digging around and so forth. This is on Indian reservation land, and it's not even in the Rocky Mountains. But I'm just trying to use this as a point. This is 2-4 to walk of something that is a clue within this phrase. Okay? So put another way, if we don't have a ballpark distance for too far to walk, then the contiguous clues are broken. And wouldn't the poem be almost impossible to solve? Forrest talks about in 1,000 years the geography may change, and that would make the treasure quest a lot more difficult. How can we put an X in the canyon down without there being a clue in that phrase? I think there had to have been, or there was a clue in that phrase, but simply put, I don't think we were getting it. And then further, if we can't put an X in the canyon down, then how in the world are we going to find the Homer Brown, assuming that the Homer Brown is at least clue number 3? And I really think it is. Especially if the Homer Brown isn't going to be found on a map, because we have this statement here, and I think more likely than not, when he says the little girl in India cannot get closer than the first two clues, and then he says there are many disabled people who are deeply into maps and geography and they are having a lot of fun. He's talking about the fact, I believe, that you can't find the home of Brown on a map. So if that's the case, it's going to be pretty darn hard to find it if we don't have a place that's too far to walk in the canyon down that we can go and search around that area, try to find the home of Brown. So the logical answer, if he wants to give us the nudge in the right direction, Forrest must either help us understand how to put an X on the map with just that phrase, too far to walk, or give us a ballpark distance for too far to walk on the applicable path. And when I say applicable path, I'm talking about whether it's a trail, a river, a road, whatever. And I think he did exactly that in the preface of Too Far to Walk. He says the river distance, the river, that's the applicable path, was about 10 miles. And the best fishing was in the bends where the water turned greenish deep and beautiful. For me now, it's just too far to walk. What is he saying here? I read this to mean, if we take it in its most simple form, if we simplify here, isn't he saying, hey guys, from the where warm waters halt, you take it in the canyon down about 10 miles. And when you get about 10 miles down in the canyon on the river, then you're going to look for the next clue. And the next clue, after Too Far to Walk in the canyon down, is the home of Brown. Okay? One of the things I thought was interesting about this session with Forrest at Moby Dickens, when he's answering the questions, was I verified with Toby, Toby at A Gypsy's Kiss. Thank you so much, Toby, for letting me know and giving me the answers to my somewhat cryptic questions. But I asked Toby, I said, who asked that question? And he said, well, the question was, where did the title come from, or where did you get the name for the book? When I heard the question, I thought to myself, wouldn't he just say it's one of the lines in my treasure poem? That's the quick answer. But for some reason, a Moby Dickens employee felt it necessary to ask that question. And to me, it seemed like Forrest really wanted to get that part out. He wanted to let us know, out in the search community, that he wanted to give us this bit of information all at the same time and on the same playing field, to level the playing field. So here's a couple of additional points for consideration. By reading the preface of Too Far to Walk at the release and then quickly distributing it throughout the community via Toby and Gypsy's Kiss, there was effectively no advantage to being first to buy the book. I think this helps level the playing field, but it also keeps Forrest true to his word when he says all you really need is the book and the poem, and this is something he's giving to everyone free of charge, right? All you have to have is an internet connection, and you could find that. right? I think it's a huge hint. But by giving us a distance for too far to walk means that we have at least some chance of finding the one singular Homer Brown. Put in below the Homer Brown, one. And if we find the Homer Brown about 10 river miles in the canyon down, we'll likely find that treasure because of this question: who is Brown? And Forrest Fenn says, well, that's for you to find. If I told you that, you go right to the chest. So think about that, and maybe that helps you. Maybe you've already been going down this path. But I think the whole point of Too Far to Walk is really found in that preface. All right, so thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Thanks so much for all my new subscribers and your comments. I really enjoy those, and the discussion has been awesome. Next up, vlog number 6, practical applications of what we've been talking about so far, and I kind of share my search logic for boots on the ground. And I got to tell you, when I go boots on the ground, I'm not looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm probably looking at 5 or 6 different places that at the end of that time period, I'm crossing off my list. So look for that video. And as always, thanks for watching. Matt Brewer out.